Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Gallion and welcome to my breakdown of the Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2 Super Bowl trailer. Or, well, big game spot, because Super Bowl is, well, that's copyrighted. So yeah, forget I said that, and let's get into the video. Now, one of the first notable moments in this little spot here is we get our first look at Aisha and her palace, and from many reports she's apparently going to be the main villain of the piece, which is actually really exciting. It's exciting to see a more diverse cast, like having a female villain, which is not something the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done yet, and that's really cool to me. So the next thing we see is Yondu and Star-Lord flying what seems to be a spaceship, but it looks kind of similar to the kind of like, I don't really know what to call it, but the kind of little tiny pods that were in the first Guardians, in the scene where Ronan comes to where the Drax had called him, and it's the same ship that Star-Lord used to fly out into space but couldn't actually handle space travel, if you kind of remember that scene. It looks similar to that. It doesn't look like an actual starship. Then the next thing we see is like the Milano in a huge space battle, which is really cool because like we didn't get much of that in the first Guardians, and I'm excited to see that because that's some of my favorite parts of a lot of sci-fi films, is the epic space battles that happen. But it's shot or cut in a way in the trailer to make you think that it was Yondu and Star-Lord piloting the Milano, but it's not if you look at the clips closely. The next notable scene is we actually get a bit of Star-Lord, Groot, and Rocket flying out of what seems to be a wrecked starship, and it looks really cool, but the reason I bring it up is because they're flying through what seems to be space, and Rocket doesn't have any, doesn't have anything to breathe with, like a helmet or anything. So it makes me think that they're probably on a planet or inside of maybe Ego or something like that, where it just, the atmosphere is weird and stuff like that, and it doesn't look normal because it's an alien planet, but there's still oxygen to breathe. So the next bit I bring up mostly just because it's really freaking awesome. Gamora has this huge freaking gun, and I'm so excited for this movie. It looks so insane, and that's basically what Guardians of the Galaxy has been banking on, is the absolute insanity that it brings forth to the MCU. So yeah, count me excited. Speaking of new weapons, the next thing we see that I really wanted to talk about is Rocket's new weapon, which seems to be some sort of weapon that like changes up gravity, because it flings those few, they might be Ravengers or they're just a bunch of dipsticks, I don't know, that it just like flings them up in the air, and so I'm wondering what that's all about. But yeah, so one thing that really piqued my interest is we're going to get a new Yondu arrow scene. And from the looks of it, it seems to be him legit just slaughtering all of the Ravengers on the ship. Because, I mean, we'll get to a little bit more of this later. Rumors are saying that the Ravengers are actually going to, like, form a coup and completely betray Yondu. So, this is going to be so amazing. So now another thing I wanted to bring up is, it seems to be that Nebula is flying the Milano. Whether it's her flying it in that big space battle that we saw earlier in the trailer, or it's her crashing it in the next, one of the other clips that I'm going to bring up, we'll see, because she was fighting Gamora. She had her like in a chokehold in one of the scenes in the trailer, so it'll be interesting to see when she like changes sides over to the Guardian. And you know, yeah, I lost my words there, so whatever, moving on. So one of the funniest bits of this trailer is the line, "Welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy," except he didn't use frickin'. So Has Groot been like swearing this entire time, or is it just because he's an infant being raised by Rocket? That's the question I asked. So yeah, it would be interesting to see Groot's somewhat new personality, question mark. We don't know how exactly they're going to handle Groot being a child, because some reports say that it'll basically just be like he's a new person, and that's part of the film, is like struggling whether he's a new person or the same Groot or whatever. But in the comics, he basically retains his memory and everything, and sometimes he grows back like in a matter of days. So it's interesting that he's now just an infant, but it's been 3 months or so. So maybe in the MCU, Groot grows back at the same rate of a human, possibly. We'll just have to watch the movie and find out. So, what I was saying earlier with Nebula flying the Milano, there's another scene in here where it shows the Milano firing at Gamora, and then there's the scene where it crashes and Gamora has to jump out of the way. So it makes me wonder if maybe Nebula is trying to like straight up murder Gamora, which, I mean, that's basically what she was doing in the first Guardians, so it's not that big of a stretch, really. But yeah, so that scene's really interesting to me, because maybe it's not Gamora or Nebula flying it. Maybe it's like Taserface or someone else trying to kill Gamora. So we'll see. So this next notable scene that I'm going to bring up is Taserface surrounded by a bunch of the Ravagers, which is that's just such a comic book name, isn't it? Taserface. But yeah, so this kind of leads more credence to possibly Taserface leading this new coup on Yondu and locking him up and whatnot, and so Yondu straight up murders all of them with his arrow. Which, hey, if that happens, that means the Guardians can use the Ravager symbol as the Guardian symbol, so we can have the Guardian symbol from the comics. So yeah, I actually really hope that happens, because that'd be really, really cool to see. So yeah, moving on. So one of the big moments that basically everybody is talking about is the awesome hero shot right at the end. That's completely freaking ruined by a pile of wreckage that comes down and like smacks Manus right across the face. And the following joke from Drax, just great delivery from Batista. Honestly, I feel like Baby Groot and Drax might just steal this entire movie, because what they're showing of them so far is just fantastic, honestly. And yeah, it looks like possibly where they're at in the where that shot takes place might be inside or on top of Ego, possibly, because there's some, like, you know, weird structures in the back. So yeah, probably inside of Ego. Maybe that, like, the weird gooey looking structures behind them are maybe like his insides or his guts or whatever. So yeah, of course that remains to be seen, and as the movie grows closer, we'll obviously learn a bit more about it. Hopefully they don't give too much away, because that really bothers everybody whenever a film gives way too much away in the trailers. That's one of the big problems with Age of Ultron, is that we knew basically everything before it came out. So yeah. And the last shot of the trailer, well, I mean, minus the dates and stuff like that, is the shot of the logo. And I really like the logo for this film. It's basically the one from the first one, but blue, and it has Volume 2, looks like it's been spray painted on that. And I really appreciate that, because it looks like how an album cover logo would look like. And it gets me really excited for the film. And if I missed anything from this trailer that you guys thought was super cool and notable, please let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think about the stuff that I brought up. So yeah, see you next time. Hey everyone, Joe here. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe so you can get notified when we upload a review, podcast, or other video. If you'd like, you can follow the channel at Heroic Power ENT on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can catch Chase at Chase.Galleon1 and me at Captain JSSG on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. And for Heroic Power Entertainment, see you next time.